the Eves, and Caroline and Marissa. We've been playing here a lot here on local CamGlen Radio. They've been involved in things like, do you know when the rugby boys come out and they've got somebody to sing the national anthem? They're the ones that go and sing the national anthem. And Caroline is just incredible. She does the speedways on a Friday night. So if you go and watch the motorbikes, you'll hear Caroline doing her bit to do the MCing. Joining me now in the studio though is Ronnie. Hello there, Ronnie. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me about Toastmasters.
Hi Kat, very excited, thank you very much.
So I had seen a Facebook post basically about Toastmasters and I thought, what is that? Never heard of it. And then I thought, oh yeah, there must be people who have to stand up at the end of these posh gala dinners and give thanks to the fundraisers and the people who've done whatever they've done in order to have these sort of things. So that makes sense that there's some sort of organisation for it. Would you want to tell us a little bit about what Toastmasters does? And
yeah, absolutely. So that word Toastmaster that you're picking up on originally was exactly what you're talking about, which is the tradition of someone who is the Toastmaster at some kind of big gathering like that, as you're saying, and they would maybe run the whole occasion and give a speech and all that kind of stuff. So that's the idea of what that word comes from. But as an organisation, Toastmasters is the world's biggest public speaking organisation. So it facilitates about 15,000 clubs around the world, and there's about 300,000 active members across 150 countries. So it's a very international organisation, and it's essentially a voluntary organisation. So the people involved in it are not starting up businesses here. They're starting up a club out of their sort of passion and desire. There's a great humanitarian aspect to Toastmasters, which is the kind of desire of us all to improve ourselves, but also to help others improve, and that's part of the journey of our own personal development anyway. The way that this all works is a learn by doing structure of these clubs, where people essentially come together so they have an audience in which that they can develop their speaking skills in front of. But you have to do that by doing it. So it's not a place you go along and get lectured to about how to do this, and then you have a course to do, or you get classes or essays to write or whatever. This is a place where you come to stand up and speak in front of an audience. And there's really three main parts to it, which is prepared speaking, where you actually go through an educational pathway, we call it, which is the education program of Toastmasters is called Pathways. And that's like the degree of public speaking. If you want to get a qualification in public speaking, then you can go through Pathways in Toastmasters. And that's an internationally recognised certificate or whatever. And so that's your prepared speaking, and it challenges you to go through different aspects of the speaking skills, which is your voice, how you use your body, how you structure a speech, how you use storytelling, humour, different things that you then are challenged on to make a speech around and to try and bring these things out. So that's one part of it, is going through prepared speaking. But every prepared speech gets evaluated. So we have to develop our listening skills to be able to take in from someone what they've done well, and to be able to give that good feedback to someone. Because giving feedback, naturally we kind of pick up on the mistakes people make. If someone's got a beautiful shirt, but they've got a little bit of ketchup on it, you see the ketchup. so our mind's kind of like that. But we want to talk about the beautiful shirt. And yeah, we'll say maybe you get the ketchup cleaned off there, but we want to give a great evaluation to really pick someone up and give them a good, constructive piece of advice. The last piece of the puzzle is what we would call impromptu speaking. And we have a thing called table topics, which you're challenged to stand in front of an audience and given a speech topic without having prepared it, and you have to go up there and do a speech for 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that would be my absolute worst nightmare, is the I haven't a clue or something like that. There was a Radio 4 programme with no hesitations, no ums or buts or questions or things like that.
It's not as difficult as that, because you can hesitate, you can use buts and all, or use the same word again. But the table topics for many people is very challenging and very scary. And what we say in Toastmasters is you start off with nerves, and it feels, and that makes people sit down. That means they don't want to stand up because they have that fear. But over time, that nervousness, that fear turns into excitement, and we can use that energy. And they say that what we learn to do is we have butterflies in our stomach, but we learn how to make those butterflies fly in formation. Right, that's one of the phrases that's used. So these aspects, the prepared speaking, which has an educational program to it, the listening skills, which is through evaluation, and the promptu speaking skills, which is doing it without having prepared. These are kind of three pillars of it. On top of that, you have the opportunity, like I've done, I suppose, of taking up leadership roles in the club and doing a thing called DTM, which is Distinguished Toastmaster, which is like the master's program, if you want to call it that. And that you get involved in the leadership of clubs, in the leadership of the organisation of other clubs. There's also a competitive aspect to Toastmasters. Toastmasters hosts the biggest public speaking competition in the world. So people who are motivated by that and maybe want to be professional speakers and want to get themselves out there a bit more and want to develop high level speaking skills, then that's for some people. There's different parts of it for different people.
I was just, funnily enough, when this came up, I was just thinking, there's particular politicians perhaps that are known in the news at the moment who are maybe not the best at public, in fact they're not very good at speaking full stop, but they're definitely not good at public speaking about presenting their ideas, opinions, or why they're doing something in a coherent manner. And I was just thinking, there doesn't seem to be that sort of program either in our education facility or even when I was doing my degree. At no point was I being given pointers or help in terms of doing a presentation. I was kind of left to go on with it.
You know what's funny, Kat, is that people often say, even members of our club, they say, I can't come, I've got to prepare for my university thing and all this stuff. And I guarantee you that when those people go to a job interview, their employers will say, what's this Toastmasters thing you went to? That will be more interesting to them, because a lot of employers out there are looking for people with leadership skills and with communication skills. Regardless of what organisation you go to, the leaders and the bosses, they're looking for other people who can stand up, who can communicate, and who can show leadership to a group. So these kind of skills, as you've absolutely said, should be really in our school syllabus, should be in educational syllabus. For some reason they're not. I don't really know why. And so people have to find something like Toastmasters, which is a kind of a weird thing. But regardless, and I want to say that any politician that wants help, please, you're welcome to come to our club. It is a non-political organisation, it's a non-religious organisation, and it's actually quite a good thing about Toastmasters meeting is it's a very positive group of people that come along. So you don't have, it's not like you go into a room and everyone's like, oh, Donald Trump this and Donald Trump that. And, sometimes I go into rooms and it's all negativity. And
no, I can
it's
imagine.
a positive group. We stay away from the politics, but every politician is certainly welcome. I personally would be happy to mentor politicians across the spectrum for free, because I want to see people put across a message properly, and I don't like seeing people making bad presentations and boring everyone.
Yeah.
And so, but public speaking has been something that's been studied for thousands of years. You go back to the ancient Greeks.
Yeah, Plato,
they
of course.
did it. Yeah, they had classes in it, so they saw it as a very important skill. So why we don't have it more prevalent, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say whenever I've been in America, I think Americans are just brilliant speakers for some reason. I don't know if it's more in their school system.
It is. I think it is more in their school system, because they have these debating societies.
Sure.
You see this in high school, that they go to these and they have these competitions where schools against schools pitting against each other. Like if you weren't good at football or you weren't good at basketball, you went to the maths club or you went to the debating club and you basically honed your skills that way. And I think, I think something similar should be in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, like, that's something maybe I could work on as well, because as part of Toastmasters there's a speechcraft course that we are encouraged to do, so I could approach schools and other organisations and say, and I'll say that as well, if anyone wants to do a speechcraft course, feel free to reach out to us and we'll try and come along, and because that helps us promote the club ultimately. The best thing about the whole Toastmasters thing though is it's a brilliant place of meeting people. You hear people's stories. When someone comes in and gives what we call the icebreaker speech, when the person gives their first speech to the club, they often really open up and tell us their life story, and it can be a very beautiful thing. And you learn all sorts of things. We have such a diverse club. People, you wouldn't believe it. This is like the United Nations of people. If you come into Toastmasters, it's like every nation is represented almost. And internationally, when people are visiting Scotland, they'll sometimes come along because they're a member of Toastmasters in another country. So it's that kind of thing. One time I was in a Toastmasters meeting and someone asked me, my table topic was, what country would you like to visit? And I said, I'd like to visit the Democratic Republic of Congo because I'd like to see the gorillas in the wild or whatever.
Right.
And I think that's where they live. And at the end of the meeting, a guy came up to me and said, I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I was like, only in a Toastmasters meeting would
you meet somebody like
I have been able to, it's kind of such a random group of people that turns up.
Great.
So, yeah.
So when is the meetings, when do they normally take place, and how can people get in touch to try and come along and maybe even look towards trying to develop their public speaking skills? We
have clubs across Scotland, so we do, but in Glasgow we have 3 main clubs at the moment, and our clubs run on, 2 of the clubs run on Tuesday evenings, so it's fortnightly, but there's 2 clubs that are running fortnightly. So every Tuesday night at the Leonardo's Hotel, which is on Jamaica Street in Glasgow, from 7 p.m. there is a club meeting, usually 2 hours long. Anyone's welcome to come along. You don't have to prepare in advance. You don't have to speak at the meeting. You can come in and sit at the back if you like and just watch. That's absolutely fine. And there's also a club on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month, which is at the Livingston Tower building at Strathclyde University. But if you go to toastmasters.org and just search find a club, you'll be able to find a club in your area, wherever you are really, hopefully. And if you don't have a club in your area and you would like one, then you're welcome to contact us and we'll try and figure out if we can help to start one in your area.
That's great. Thank you so much. I get all of my guests to pick a track and you've been no different. So you've gone for The Patience of Angels by Eddie Reader. Any particular reason why?
I don't really know. This is one of my favourite songs, actually. I've always loved this song. I think maybe it reminds me of my mum a little bit or something like that. I'm not really sure, but it's always been a brilliant song, and I just thought it was a great radio song appropriate for the day.
Thank you so much for coming along, Ronnie, and talking to us all about Toastmasters. This is Eddie Reader with Patience of Angels. Right, there you go. How was that?
What's that, sorry?
How was that?
Well, I thought that was great.
Super.
Is that
Yeah, no, that's
what
good.
you're looking for?
I mean, that was 15 minutes.
That's okay. Good.
Yes, we'll take the